it's time to go over some of the finer details.
Wild at Heart was released on May 25th, 1990 at Cannes, and it was released wide August 17th, 1990. I think that was like the U.S. was released on August 17th, but premiered at Cannes. But we'll get into it in the quick facts, but it had to go through some re-editing after after its appearance at Cannes.
No way.
Had a budget of $10 million and made $14.6 million. So slight profit. I mean, art house, David Lynch movie. What do you expect?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
If this movie had made money like, $30-40 million, I would have been shocked.
Yeah.
Of course, is directed by the one and only, the extremely unique director, David Lynch. Who is famous, of course, for Twin Peaks, the TV series, along with the movie and the revival that just happened a few years ago. Eraserhead, I think, was his first thing that he ever made. The Elephant Man, the first version of Dune, which is just as unique as this film. Blue Velvet, which is my favorite David Lynch movie of all time. Lost Highway, Mulholland Drive, which is the critically acclaimed film, and then Island Empire. Every single moment of every single one of all of those projects, extremely memorable and unique. If nothing else, that's
these
his
days
thing.
you call it memeable, not memorable. They've changed the word.
Memeable?
Memeable.
As we learned on Arsenal. They're called memes. They're not memes. They're memes. He's been nominated for Best Director 3 different times. He has never actually won an Oscar for his films, but he did win an honorary award in 2019. I think they kind of give out like 3 Lifetime Achievement Award type things, or just achievement in cinema. I don't know exactly what his award was for, but I assume it's Lifetime Achievement. By all accounts, they're
like, maybe if we don't give him something, he might snap and kill us all because he's psycho.
He might go Crispin Glover on us. He might go Dell on us.
Seems a little unhinged with his films.
Yeah, there's something going on with this guy's psyche. I don't know what it is. But, from what I've heard, he's like a freaking just the most boring suburban dad and just a normal, everyday, ordinary human being. Doesn't do drugs. Just a completely just normal, like, suburban dad.
That's how all the great serial killers hide.
And, like,
apparently he loves metal.
Some of the strangest shit imaginable. And even has a term named after his style of Lynchian. Which, you've made it when they're making terms after the style of film that you make.
Yeah.
He, of course, also wrote this film, but it was based on a book by Barry Gifford, who actually ended up going on to write the screenplay for Lost Highway. And he had no ill will whatsoever towards David Lynch's many changes to the book, as we'll get into in the quick facts, including the ending. The ending is completely different. I mean, after watching the ending of this film, like no other brain could have come up with that besides David Lynch. David Lynch was also nominated for a writing Academy Award for Elephant Man way back when. So that's 4 different Oscar nominations for directing and writing. This was shot by Frederick Elms, who we previously talked about on Valley Girl. He shot Valley Girl. Of course, that was like when he got his start, and then he worked on Twin Peaks for a little bit. He's kind of a Lynch staple who has also worked extensively with Jim Jarmusch, most recently on The Dead Don't Die, which was one of my dad's favorite films that had come out recently. Edited by Dwayne Dunham, who also edited Return of the Jedi. See, I got Nigel's attention again.
I think there was talk of Lucas wanting David Lynch to direct Return of the Jedi.
Oh my God.
I thought maybe I'm crossing wires, but I feel like I've heard that.
Could you imagine? Han
I know he
Solo
was trying
suddenly
to get
has
like
a
anybody to
respirator
direct
and-
that movie because he didn't want to do it.
Yeah. Return of the Jedi is easily his most recognizable credit, but he also edited Twin Peaks, the TV show, Blue Velvet, and Homeward Bound.
Yeah, I remember we talked about that. And
Yeah.
we talked about that. Love that movie.
He also directs a little bit. He directed the movie Little Giants and
Really?
several TV shows, including a couple episodes of The Clone Wars. So he kind of
Oh, wow.
fell into George Lucas's camp a little bit.
I can see Lucas and David Lynch being friends.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. They don't have similar styles, but they're both
Not
kind
at
of
all.
weird.
No.
God damn, it would have been so awesome to see a Star Wars movie made by David Lynch, though.
Return of the Jedi would have been awesome to see.
Yeah, it would have been awesome.
I
It would have
could-
really made audiences question what the hell
Yeah.
George Lucas was thinking.
I can only imagine what he would have done with the Ewoks.
Yeah.
Just all would have ended up dead at the end somehow.
Yeah. I mean, he loves little people and his stuff. So
That's true, he does.
would have been a dream come true.
They're all on unicycles.
Just anything with David Lynch, it's just like, okay, there's a character on screen for 3 seconds. How can we make it more weird? All right. It's like, I talk about it in the breakdown, but like that guy in the hotel lobby who just has an inexplicable British accent and is on crutches. Like, just throw 2 extra things in there to make him weird.
You're in Texas and he's got an English accent.
Louisiana. He was
Oh,
in
yeah,
New
that's right. They were
Orleans,
still in Louisiana at that point. That's right.
I guess that makes sense. I guess that makes more sense than being
That's true.
British. in
Everybody knows
Texas.
Louisiana's culture.
Yeah. Till you go to Louisiana. Music by Angelo Badalamenti. I always pronounce his name wrong. Badalamenti? Something like that.
Don't ask
Legendary
me.
composer. We talked about him a little bit on another film. I forget. Wicker Man. Yeah. We talked a little bit about him. He just recently passed in 2022, but he was a frequent collaborator with Lynch, of course. Worked on Blue Velvet, Twin Peaks, Lost Highway, and Mulholland Drive, doing the scores for those. He has a very unique style. He first kind of came on my radar because the Lost Highway soundtrack was done by Trent Reznor, and he worked extensively with Angelo
Bodily function.
Bodily function. And there was a lot of his score like incorporated into different musical pieces that Trent Reznor also worked on. I don't think Trent Reznor like really worked on the film, but he did work on kind of choosing the musical pieces. So there's like Rammstein in the soundtrack and Smashing Pumpkins and a few other bands that aren't normally in these type of David Lynch movies.
Yeah, I read that David Lynch, probably on the set of that movie, was asking people if they'd heard of Rammstein and then was like playing it on the set and stuff. So he's
That's
a
so
big
funny.
Just imagine that. Have you heard of Rammstein? The great band.
They're German.
I'm using a megaphone. He also scored National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Okay.
That's right. You did.
And The Beach, that DiCaprio movie, Cabin Fever, and of course, The Wicker Man.
So just really everywhere, all over the place.
All over the place, yeah. We'll also be talking about him when we do Between Worlds, which is a movie that most people don't even know exists. Another one of those 2013 to 2019 Nicolas Cage revenge type
great.
movies.
Can't wait.
Actually, I
Prepare
have no
yourselves.
idea what the hell that movie is about. It was very hard to find a physical copy of it. Haven't watched it yet, so that'll be a treat for us once we get there 9 years from now. Rotten Tomatoes gave this film a 66%, which actually seems kind of low for a David Lynch movie. Well, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of people who it's like you either just go along for the ride in a David Lynch movie or you're just questioning every weird moment.
Yeah.
Or you're doing both, like us.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm right there in the middle. I question and go along with it.
Yeah. Just enjoy the ride, but also like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
It's
supposed to be a captive audience. Like, well, I got to watch this, so might as well strap in and
Yeah,
go along for the ride.
Yeah, we had to watch it. So it's like, all right,
kind of like
let's go with it.
like a drug trip of a movie.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, what just happened? Okay, all right. If I just let it happen, I won't freak out.
Just breathe through it.
Just breathe.
Relax.
Enjoy it. Just embrace the weird. I had a 6.5 out of 10 on 53 reviews. So this is the confusing thing and interesting is the critics gave it a 66%, but the audience gave it an 81%, which I'd actually think that it would be the opposite. The critics would love this movie and audiences would hate this movie.
I feel like critics didn't really start kind of praising him until Twin Peaks became super popular. And then it feels like everybody fell in love with David Lynch after that. I know he had some
Twin
acclaim
Peaks
prior.
before this, though?
I don't. Was it?
No,
what year did
Twin
this
Peaks
come
was
out?
in the
This
early
was
90s.
1990.
90, right? Yeah, Twin Peaks
Yeah,
was like 93.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I think it was later. I feel like that's when he started kind of gaining more critical acclaim.
Yeah, I can see critics being like, well, this movie could have been great, except there's this weird guy who quacks at people, and there's this like
this other guy talks in an Elvis accent.
Yeah,
Laura
and like,
Dern is like a
there's some
telenovela
hitmen that-
character or something. I don't know.
hit woman with a fake leg or something. I don't yeah, like they may have just been off put by some of the choices.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get into the quick facts, but there's a few things that really struck audiences the wrong way.
I wonder what.
Metacritic gave it a 52%. As we've said many times, it's kind of confusing with Metacritic since it's weighted scores. It's just, I don't even know what a good score is on Metacritic at this point. IMDb, as we've always said, is basically it's the real audience, the real human beings, and there's hundreds of thousands of reviews usually on these of just normal people going to IMDb and saying what they thought of the film. And IMDb gave it a 7.2 out of 10. So I feel like that's probably where most people end up. And it did
and that's
not
everybody
get a
looking
cinema
at
score.
it like today or recently, looking back across with, whereas reviews are at the time when it comes out. So you have to kind of factor in that aspect of it as well.
Definitely. And Rotten Tomatoes wasn't really a thing back then. They're going back and reading other reviews and kind of judging what the percentage was going to be.
Yeah.
Out of 5 or out of 10 or whatever. And that score is, 66% of the people who reviewed it gave it a 6 or above.
Positive review, basically.
Positive review, yeah.
It's about in line what I would expect.
Yeah, makes sense.